one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. With that, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
So, Sabrina and, was it Rob? Did you, Richard? Sorry.
And Rich.
Okay, thank you. All right, any discussion about the agenda? No discussion. All right, I'm just going to do a roll call. Stephanie?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Rachel?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Danette?
Aye.
And Rob?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Passes. All right, so that brings us to principal reports. Mrs. Dawson.
Good evening, board. You guys are closer tonight. Good evening. So just to share out a couple of things that have been going on in our world. We had our spelling bee last week, and just one of my favorite things of the year to see the kids come out after they've done all this practicing at home and they're just a bag of nerves when they come up there and so excited to try this big thing. And it's one of the things that I really like to do at the PC in the elementary because it has a connection to something that's national because it ends up feeding into the National Spelling Bee. And so we did have, our winner was Liam Grundle, and our runner-up was Kennedy Clements, and they did a great job. I think we probably had kids make it through more rounds than we ever have before. We had 11 spellers, I think, so it was a smaller number of spellers, but some spellers that really were competitive. So they will go on to compete at the county level at the end of the month, and we wish them luck there. And then we are excited. We're, as you know, Title I building, so we're school-wide Title I buildings at the PC in the elementary. And one of the things we're charged to do in being a Title I building is to offer parent support wherever we can. And so prior to COVID, we were able to do family engagement nights, probably, I think we did them 2 or 3 times a year, depending on what was going on in the year. And we did, then as COVID came through, we did some drive-through nights and tried to reboot for whatever COVID was putting in front of us. And we're excited to be able to come back to offer an in-the-school Title I family night coming up here on the 29th of February, where we'll have people come in, our families come in, and we're going to be doing a math night. So we adopted our new math program this year, and we're getting a lot of parent participation through homework, and we're just wanting to also just put that kind of live and in front of parents so that they can see certain things, how it's rolling with the different pieces of the program, so they can see it, ask questions, and participate firsthand with that. So we're excited about that. We're going to do walking tacos for dinner because that's always a big draw. Families are busy. They need to be able to grab their dinner and do that as well. So we're excited about that. In my searches for different things as I read and stuff over the course of the school year, I found something really cool this year, which is the 4th grade National Parks passes. And I just wanted to share that with you guys as you connect and as you see 4th graders go through. But this program offers that every single 4th grader can get a pass to the national parks for their year in 4th grade and through that summer. And the park passes also include their family members. So you could essentially plan that 4th grade trip with your family, and everybody goes to the park that you choose for free. So just a cool opportunity and a great way to get kids and families thinking about taking that family trip that might be to a really cool place in the United States. So we did print those out and pass those out to all of our 4th graders and told families about that. So hopefully we'll have some families that capitalize on that. And then and another thing that we have coming up is our 3rd grade classrooms. Our 3rd grade classes on the 21st of this month are headed to Lansing. And this is our 3rd year of doing that, and it's been a really good trip. They really the teachers have been learning more about it as they go and are able to bring more information to the kids and really teaching them what that looks like to be in the government, like those pieces of government that are playing out in front of them from their little 3rd grade brains, and seeing some of the cool things that they ask a lot of questions about. Last year, Representative Van Single had said that our group was one of the nicest groups that ever came through, and he called the school to just give a big shout out for how polite they were and how engaged they were in the entire field trip. So I thought that was really cool. And that is what I have for tonight. Happy to answer any questions for you, if you have any.
Could you just say the date again for the end of February family math learning?
Yep, the family math night is on February 29th, leap year night.
At what time?
5 to 6:30, I think. We're going to send flyers out, and then I'll put it on Facebook too. So yeah, feel free to come in and join us, walk around, and enjoy the night.
Any other questions? I do have one.
Yeah.
The passport to the national parks. This is the first year that we've done this?
Yeah, I just found them in a random, I don't remember what I was searching for, but I saw those. I think it came in one of our MDE updates.
Oh, okay.
Through the, Department of Natural Resources, I think, probably. And I clicked on it, and sure enough, it's an individual ticket for every kid, too, so it has a specific barcode to it.
Right.
And so as I read further into it, usually it's like, it's a pass for the kid, and the family has to pay, but it's really a great thing. It pays for the whole family, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
All right. Middle school, Jamie Pressler.
Well, first of all, I'm the new improved Kevin Aiken. Those are big pants to fill. No, it is an honor to step up to the plate and do his job. It is harder than it looks, that's for sure. But it's been a blessing. So GMS is pretty productive. Right now, our librarian, Sandy Morris, is promoting reading with students participating in book speed dating. And it has been awesome to see kids because they are engaged. That she has a table where all the kids are all lined up with a book, and they're just traveling and reading for about 30 seconds to a minute, checking out books. Because at this point, they need a good list to finish off the year. So that's going on. Our 8th graders just got back from their visit to the Career Tech Center, and it's always eye-opening. Every kid that I've talked to really got a taste of what their future looks like, and that's super important to do in 8th grade so that they can see, hey, this is an opportunity. This doesn't look like the classrooms I've been in. So that's been awesome. Kevin reported last month that our teachers got together and worked on looking at our winter map reading and math data. Well, they work now to prepare for standardized test season. So they're taking all of that data and they're putting it into targeted instruction 2 days a week during our labs. So that's been really awesome to see. And when you walk around our building on Tuesdays and Thursdays during that time, kids are working hard. So that's really cool. This past week was Counselor Appreciation Week, and we have 2 social workers, and we celebrated them even though they're not counselors. Amber and Gabby, one really neat activity that they're involved in is our Be Nice hot chocolate sales, which supports the program. And then we also sell carnations right before Valentine's Day, and that supports our Peer Coach program. And then our 5th graders are on their way to the Grand Rapids Public Museum on Thursday. And then we also had the spelling bee. Zenith Hollinger and Georgia Van Poppering will go to the next round at NC Risa on February 29th at 4 o'clock. But a very important date to remember is our Wax Museum. Our 8th graders have been really working hard and planning. That night is it's Tuesday, February 22nd. It's from 6 to 7. They have been researching, writing, planning, and gathering props to really be their person in that museum. So, is there any questions? Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. You might not have filled the pants, but you got a leg in really good.
I got a leg in.
Mr. Simon.
All right, just a few highlights from the board report that you have from me. I just wanted to highlight the work that the staff do on Wednesdays every day after school, diving into student learning, professional development, just all of those activities. So I just wanted to get that out to you with the chart as well. If you happen to see WZZM this morning, John Solis was the Teacher of the Week, which was pretty exciting for him and for the students that nominated him. Chess club's rolling, ski club. Yeah, they've had a couple trips. They've enjoyed it. Quiz Bowl is rolling, so those are going well. And then I just wanted to highlight the Fiddler on the Roof musical that is coming up. Kids are working hard. You're kind of in the middle of it again on stage. They practiced or rehearsed out in the lobby today rather than being up here. But come out, see the show. The kids do a great job. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Simon?
I have a short.
Short and sweet.
Thank you, Mr. Simon.
Thanks, Dan.
Mr. Aiken.
Okay, I've been working with Casey Jernberg at the city. He's drafting a new agreement for the tennis courts that sit on Blanche Lake Park. We should have a draft done and bring it to the March board meeting for approval. He's been very receptive to what we would like to do with that. On February 6th, I took part in an action planning meeting with NC RESA. What this meeting was to come up with an action plan to help close the gap between our general ed students and our special ed students. One thing we're finding, and I guess it's a good problem to have, is our numbers of special ed kids are decreasing and our scores are going up in our general ed population. There's going to be a natural gap. So this meeting was to come up with strategies and implementation of a plan to help reduce the gap. I attended a district social workers meeting on the 7th where we discussed many initiatives that they are working on for our students. One is putting in a concession stand area in the middle school to help with their hot chocolate sales and our PBIS Roar store. Also, what we can do to help with our Lost and Found. I don't know if you guys have ever been to our Lost and Found, but it gives Goodwill a bad name. So they're looking for a way to help get those clothes back to who they belong to in a timely manner. Julie Ashbaugh scored her thousandth point on February 5th at Montague. That's a heck of an achievement. I think she's 28 away from breaking the school record, which should happen within the next week or two. So anybody that sees her, please congratulate her. That's a heck of an honor for a kid. Justin Visser and I attended our Newaygo County School Safety Committee meeting on the 7th. We're going to be bringing a lot of our safety agreement initiatives back for approval in March. We do that on a yearly basis. And also congratulations to John Solis. That's a heck of an honor. I know the kids really like him at the high school. He does a great job for our community and our kids. And then on Friday, I attended the Newaygo County Superintendent's meeting. We learned a lot of different things going on throughout the state and in the county. With our calendar, they finally settled on one. They had 2 different calendars that had been approved, but they had to figure it out for next school year. So we're going to be working with the union to come up with a calendar for next year soon. And then we have to have our iCare nominee to Newaygo or to NC RESA by March 1st. And we need to come up with that. That's an organization or a nomination of somebody who's outstanding in our community for our kids. So we need to come up with that by March 1st, and I'll be taking that to the administrators on the 23rd. Okay?
Good. Any questions for Mr. Aiken?
Yeah, Kevin, can you give us just a brief summary on the reason why we got to do a new contract with the city? Is the present contract no good, or what's going on?
Well, it was
with
done in 1996, the last one. So we just wanted an updated one with language. When you're dealing with tennis courts, you're dealing with an awful lot of financial commitment there on our part, and they realize that, and they would just like a cleaner contract that fits the time that we're in right now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Aiken? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Aiken. Okay, so that takes us to the consent agenda. I would take a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Ken, I'm sorry, I have to go over the finance report.
Oh, sorry.
You skipped me.
No, I did
That was
not
pretty
mean
rude.
to.
Just saying.
Thank you for not throwing anything in.
You're welcome. The Finance Committee meeting was on January 22nd. That went very well. Thank you, Holly, for all your hard work putting that PowerPoint presentation together. And if anybody wants a copy of that, you can go ahead and request it in the admin building to receive it. The next Finance Committee meeting will be posted soon, which will include a review of the first budget amendment. The budget amendment will be presented to the board on Monday, March 11th, and we are in the process of applying for a few grants which are due to the Fremont Area Community Foundation on March 1st. And Holly, thanks again for all your work. Okay, Ken, you can go ahead. You can move forward now.
Thank you for that. First, any questions for Sabrina? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
A motion by Sabrina, support by Rachel. Any discussion on the consent agenda? It's a big one this time.
Yeah, it is.
Just real quick, I just want to thank, we have quite a list of both retired and resigning and leave of absence teachers and support staff. I just want to thank all of our staff and support for the work that they have done. So whether you're retiring, thank you for your service. Moving on, again, thank you for your service. And those of you with a leave of absence, I hope it goes well and we see you back.
Absolutely. Any other discussion? All right. Sabrina? I'll call for your vote.
Oh, aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Danette?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thank you. All right. So that takes us down to action item, students' approval of marching band out-of-state trip.
The band would like approval from the Board of Education for a marching band to travel to Toledo, Ohio in September to compete in the Bands of America Northwest Regional Championship at the University of Toledo. The trip is a one-day trip on Saturday, September 14th, 2024. As superintendent of schools, I am recommending approval of travel for the marching band students.
All right. Could you entertain a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
So we have a motion by Danette and a second by Richard. Any discussion, questions?
I guess lovely Toledo is better in September than any other time of the year. So.
The mud hands.
Any other questions about the out-of-state trip? What's the transportation for this?
I would assume we're going to go with a charter bus.
Okay. All right. Any other? All right. I'll call with your name. Rachel?
Aye.
Danette? Aye. Sabrina?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Motion passes. All right. That takes us down to finance and the approval of the treasurer's report. Take a motion on that, please.
So moved.
Support.
I'm sorry, who gave the support? Rob, thank you. All right. Any discussion about the treasurer's report? No discussion? All right. Rob?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Danette?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is the general fund summary. Okay, entertain a motion on that, please.
So moved.
Rachel and Jeanette, thank you. Any discussion or questions about the general fund summary? All right, hearing no discussion, Jeanette?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Rob?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And Sabrina?
Aye.
Thank you. And next item under finance is approve of purchase of food service mobile heated cabinets. I think we have a memo in there on that.
Yeah, food service requested our board approval on 5 mobile heated cabinets. There were 3 quotes presented, which the food service director requests Plasma Group for the purchase. They came in at the low bid.
All right, I would entertain a motion on that one, please.
So moved.
Support.
Sabrina, thank you. Any discussion about the food service mobile heated cabinets?
I do just have one question, Holly, for you, quick. Remember when the audit report came through, we had a surplus in the food service area? Is that going to be applied to this?
Yes,
Okay,
that's one of our
Okay.
plans.
thanks.
You want to repeat that, Rachel?
Well, I was asking her when, I believe it was in August, September, when the audit was presented to us, we had to spend down some money that was left over in the food service budget. And so I was wondering if that is what it's going to, be applied to. Is it going to be applied to the cards?
Does this replace all of the carts that we currently have?
Yes.
It does, okay.
No, well,
It does not.
If you ever ran the hot lunch program, we get 2 hot lunch items, we use 2 bags, and french fries and chicken nuggets, so there'd be 2 in each. There'll be one that we replace, and those schools like 26 years old, that needs to be replaced. But just that one, get rid of. So other than that, so I have 2.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
So it's kind of hard to hear you, Holly, just to make sure I'm clear. So we're replacing one, and then we're adding an additional one because we need
Yes.
2 for the other buildings? Okay.
Anything else? All right, I'll call your name out. Sabrina?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Richard?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is to accept a donation to the Grant Band.
David and Denise DeYoung donated $1,000 to Grant Public Schools Band Program. On behalf of the administration and staff, I wish to thank David and Denise DeYoung for their support of student programs and the district.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion by Richard, support by Sabrina, to accept the donation of $1,000 for the Grant Band Program. Any discussion?
That's great.
It is.
Yeah, definitely,
Thank you to them, definitely.
absolutely. All right. No discussion. Richard?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
And Jeanette?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. All right. Approval of payment of bills for check 5170 and 5236.
Just requesting payment on these checks that were requested back in December.
Can I get a motion to approve the payment of those 2 checks, please?
So moved.
Support.
Rob, that was you supporting?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Any discussion on those? No discussion?
I would just like to know if somehow within our teaching contracts or any of our contracts, that we could have a stipulation in there that if you are being reimbursed for any types of degrees or whatever, that you have to continue to work for a certain amount of time if we're paying for the, reimbursing the degree or class, whichever it would be.
So if that's something we can just look into in the future.
Okay, that's something I think we would have to talk to the union about. Okay.
All right, any other discussion? All right. With that, Sabrina?
Aye.
Rob? Aye. I'm an aye. Rachel?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Thank you. And that takes us to the approval of, to purchase a pole vault pit.
The board is being asked to approve the purchase of a new pole vault pit for the track team. The pit will replace an extremely old pit that has been deteriorating over time and is bordering on unsafe for the use of our kids. MF Athletics is recommended based on the price and is a very respected brand in the track industry. If approved, the purchase will be made as soon as possible to arrive by the coming track season. The quotes are as follows. MF Athletics was $18,679, Gill Athletics was $19,172, and BSN Sports was $23,904.16. As superintendent, I am recommending that the Board of Education approve the purchase of the pole vault pit from MF Athletics. The athletic budget will cover the cost of this purchase.
So moved.
Support.
Rachel made the motion. Sorry. Stephanie made the motion. Jeanette seconded it. Any discussion on the purchase of a new pole vault pit?
Kevin,
Yes.
how long have we known that we were going to have to do this? Was this something that we would have known at the end of track season last year, 2 years ago?
Typically, I think you would have, but you've got a new athletic director,
Okay.
and I think he was just informed of it in the last month. And who knows? It should have been done at the end of the track season when inventory was done, and it will be that way in the future.
Track doesn't ask for a lot, so.
Any other discussion on this motion?
They could use sawdust.
That's going back a few years. All right. Stephanie?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Richard?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
And Sabrina?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. And that takes us to the approval to post the position of Fund Development and Grant Specialist.
This memo is to request approval to post the position of Fund Development and Grant Specialist. This position is needed to continue our grant funding for programs within the Grant Public School District. The anticipated salary range for this full-time position is $60,000 to $65,000, depending on experience. Please review the attached job description for more detail regarding this position.
I would entertain a motion to approve a Fund Development and Grant Specialist position.
So moved.
Support.
So motion by Richard and support by Sabrina. Thank you. Any discussion on this?
Just a couple of quick questions. One, and I know they may not be ones you can answer, but do we have kind of a timeline that we're looking at? Like what's our goal for getting this person into position?
It will be posted tomorrow, and we'll run it. And as soon as the posting is up, we'll start interviews.
Okay. And then how does this affect those March 1st deadlines for grants?
We're scrambling right now with Holly, and we've got other people involved in writing some grants that need to be taken care of. So we're kind of doing as a committee of a whole right now. I would ideally like them here by March 1st would be the goal, so they can participate in that and help us.
Okay. Yeah, this is an important one, so
Yeah.
we'll get moving on this.
And I will just point out real quick that this is a different job description than what we were presented with a couple months ago. This is one that Marshall's actually looked at this and said that this is definitely an administrative position, so this does not impact Schedule B at all. So, any other discussion on this one? All right. Richard?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Sabrina?
Aye.
And an aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Motion passes. All right. Next one is to approve Jamie Pressler as interim middle school principal.
So moved.
Support.
You guys don't want me to read all the wonderful things that we wrote about her?
Yes, we're going to let you read everything that you wrote.
All right. She's jumped on that one.
I guess.
Jamie is recommended for the middle school interim principal's position. Jamie has worked for the district since 2005. Jamie has been a leader in many roles throughout her career at Grant Public Schools, such as being a highly qualified teacher, athletic coach, lead role in human trafficking curriculum development, and providing intervention services to our students. Jamie will be a fantastic administrator, and I believe this is an opportunity that Jamie is ready to accept.
All right. Any discussion?
I'm just very happy, known Jamie for a long time, and I think this is a good move. And not necessarily the way I wanted it to, happen, but thank you for stepping up.
Any other discussion?
You did a good job reading that without crying, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right. With no other discussion, Sabrina?
Aye.
Danette?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Richard?
Aye.
And Stephanie?
Aye.
All right, great. Motion passes.
Welcome, Jamie.
Welcome, Jamie.
Welcome to part 2.
Yeah. Maybe we should be saying I'm sorry. I don't know, but- All right, so that takes us down to approval of employment contracts for David Crabb, Facilities Director.
So moved.
The recommendation is for the board to approve the employment contract for David Crabb. The terms of the contract are from the start of his employment on November 6, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. As interim superintendent of schools, I'm recommending that the Board of Education approve the contract for David Crabb.
All right, so we have a motion by Danette. Do we have a second?
Support.
We have a motion by Danette, support by Rachel. Any discussion?
This goes back to November. Just explain why we're so late in doing the process like this.
Well, it's my understanding that David was approved for the job, but the contract was not approved. So we want to make sure Dave is getting paid while he works for us. He's doing an outstanding job, so we feel that we need to definitely approve his contract.
Did he work for free up until this?
No, he didn't, but we want to make sure we lock him in.
So, yeah, David's contract actually, it has administrator signatures and it's got David's signature, but no board signature. So we want to make sure that we dealt with this and took care of it. So,
Are you reading the next one?
Hmm?
Are you going to read the next one?
I'm not, no. All right. Any other discussion on this one? So we're just catching up and getting this thing taken care of, so. All right. Stephanie?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Danette?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Rachel?
Aye.
And Richard?
Aye.
All right, great, thank you. Motion passes. All right, so the next one is to, let's see here. So this gets us into approval of, our agenda actually says the final reading, so it is the second and final reading of Board Policy 0122.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approves the second and final reading. The legislature made substantive changes to the Public Employment Relations Act as related to changes to the revised school code. Neola conducted a thorough review of the policies and is recommending the following policies for updates to comply with the law. Many of the topics addressed regarding para in our policies meet compliance because we refer to the collective bargaining agreement and law within the policy language. 0122, board powers, everything crossed out in this policy is required to be included in the collective bargaining agreement. These changes recommended comply with the state law, which will take effect July 1st, 2024. It is recommended these policies are reviewed at the meeting for the second and final reading from the board.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the second reading of policy 0122?
So moved.
Support.
So I have a motion by Sabrina and a second by Rachel. Any discussion on policy 0122? Okay, with no discussion, we'll go through. Stephanie?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Rachel?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. Danette?
Aye.
And Rob? Aye. All right. Motion carries. Thank you. That takes us to final reading of 0142.
The legislature made substantial changes to Public Employment Relations Act as related to changes to the revised school code. Neola conducted a thorough review of the policies and is recommending the following policies for updates to comply with the law. Many of the topics addressed in para in our policies meet compliance because we refer to the collective bargaining agreement and law within the policy language. 1420, the date of July 1st, 2024, has been added throughout the policy. It is recommended these policies are reviewed at this meeting for the second and final reading from the board.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the second reading of policy 0142.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Danette and support by Sabrina. Any discussion on this policy? All right, hearing no discussion. Sabrina?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Danette?
Aye.
Rob? Aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thank you. That takes us to the final reading for 3131.
Many of the topics addressed regarding para in our policies meet compliance because we refer to the collective bargaining agreement and law within the policy language. Added the date of July 1, 2024, and broke out the language for ease of reading. It is recommended these policies are reviewed at this meeting for the second and final reading from the board.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adopt or approve the second reading of policy 3131.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion by Sabrina and a second by Richard. Any discussion about policy 3131? All right, hearing no discussion. Rachel?
Aye.
Danette?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Rob? Aye. Richard?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. That takes us to approval of the final reading of policy 3142.
This legislature made substantial changes to the Public Employment Relations Act as related to the changes to the revised school code. Neola conducted a thorough review of this policy and is recommending the following policies for update to comply with the law. Many of the topics addressed regarding para in our policies meet compliance because we refer to the collective bargaining agreement and law within the policy language. Policy 3142, July 1st, 2024, has been added, also discusses the change relating to the scoring system for teacher evaluations. It is recommended these policies are reviewed at this meeting for the second and final reading from the board.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the second reading of policy 3142.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Rachel and a second by Sabrina. Any discussion about policy 3142? Okay, hearing no discussion on policy 3142. I'll call the roll. Rob?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Danette?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
And Richard?
All right.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, that takes us to approving the final reading of policy 3220.
Policy 3220 will be adopted July 1st, 2024. It is also added to the language to align with the changes within the law. It is recommended these policies are reviewed at this meeting for the second and final reading from the board.
All right. I would entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Support.
I have Sabrina making the motion and Rob with the second. Is that right? Okay, thank you. Any discussion about policy number 3220? All right, hearing no discussion, I will call the roll. Danette?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Rob?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And Sabrina?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. All right, so that takes us down to, now that we've approved the second reading, that takes us to a motion to adopt all 5 of those policies.
So moved. Oh, you gonna read them all again?
Kevin, do you want to read that?
Yep. It is recommended that the Board of Education adopt the following 5 policies. I am attaching the Michigan Update Overview and comments. The legislature made substantive changes to the Public Employment Relations Act, PARA. As related changes to the revised school code, Neola conducted a thorough review of the policies and is recommending the following policies for update to comply with the law. Many of these topics addressed regarding PARA in our policies meet compliance because we refer to the collective bargaining agreement and law within the policy language. Policy 0122, board powers. Everything crossed out in this policy is required to be included in the collective bargaining agreement. These changes recommended comply with the state law, which will take effect on July 1st, 2024. Policy 0142, the date of July 1, 2024 has been added throughout the policy. Policy 3131 added the date of July 1st, 2024 and broke out the language for ease of reading. Policy 3142, July 1st, 2024 has been added, also discusses the changes relating to the scoring system for teacher evaluations. And then policy 3220, July 1st, 2024 has been added, also language to align with changes within the law.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve policy number 0122, 0142, 3121, 3142, and 3220.
3131.
It says 3131.
Thank you. 3131. Yeah, I wrote it wrong. Okay. So approve 0122, 0142, 3131, 3142, and 3220.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Rachel and a second by Sabrina. Any discussion on adopting the 5 policies? All right. Sabrina?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Richard?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
And Jeanette?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right. So that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, takes us down to public comment.
Just one second.
You got it?
Yeah, it's right here.
Here's mine. I can't read mine. Thank you.
Oh, there is one, sorry.
Holy cow. We got to get better copies. The presiding officer shall be guided by the following rules. Public participation shall be permitted at a time as determined by the president officer. Anyone with concern related to the operation of the schools or to matters within the authority of the board may participate during the public portion of a meeting. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and will be requested to preface their comments by an announcement of their name, address, and/or group affiliation if and when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. No participant may speak more than once. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The presiding officer may prohibit public comments which are frivolous, repetitive, or harassing. Interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, and irrelevant. Request any individual to leave the meeting when that person behaves in a manner that is disruptive of the ordinary conduct of the meeting. Request the assistance of law enforcement officers in the removal of disorderly person when that person interferes within the orderly progress of the meeting. Call a recess or an adjournment to another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. Waive these rules with the other approval of the board when necessary for protection of privacy of the administrators in the board business. The portion of the meeting during which the participation of the public is invited shall be limited to 30 minutes, but that time frame will be extended if necessary so that no one's right to address the board will be denied. Tapes or video recordings are permitted, subject to the following conditions. No obstructions are created between the board and the audience. No interviews are conducted in the meeting room while the board is in session. No commentary, adjustment of equipment, or positioning of the operator is made that would distract either the board or members of the audience while the board is in session. The person operating the recorder should contact the superintendent prior to the board meeting to review the possible placement of the equipment.
All righty. Hard time seeing that. First up,
Kelly Brown, 1276 West 120th Street, Grant, Michigan. First, I want to say excellent choice on Jamie Pressler for the middle school administrative position. I worked with Jamie for many years, and she is a phenomenal teacher. She's been an asset to Grant Public Schools for many, many years, and my bet is she's going to be a phenomenal administrator. So kudos on getting Jamie in that position. She's going to be amazing. I have some concerns about the conduct of a board member at the previous board meeting. Rob leveled some accusations against some other board members, namely hostile work environment and targeting of teachers, both of which are at a minimum unethical and possibly illegal. If Rob had formal complaints about those things, then an investigation should have been opened and nothing should have been said about any of that until a conclusion was met and whatever needed to happen happened. So to bring that up at a board meeting and level it against the other board members was completely inappropriate. And if he doesn't have formal complaints, it was completely inappropriate to mention that in a public school board meeting anyway. So that's very concerning that one board member would accuse other board members in a public meeting with no formal accusations or any investigation, anything like that. That is completely inappropriate to have that happen. So that's very concerning that a school board member would do that to the other school board members. The other part of the behavior was because I have to assume his motions were not seconded, he pitched a fit like a 5-year-old and left the meeting before it was even adjourned. For a school board member to not even be able to take having their motions not seconded and have to leave a meeting throwing a temper tantrum is very concerning for the public. There have been all kinds of accusations leveled against many of the school board members here, and you have sat here and you have listened to them and you have continued to do your work. Not I'm not aware that one of you pitched a fit and got up and left a meeting before it was adjourned. So that's my concern, Rob. There have been calls for people to resign over and over and over and over again. You should resign. You don't have the temperament for this job. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Nicole Spangler. I'm not giving you my address today. So I have a few things that I would like to address. First, I would like to say thank you to Ken and Rachel for meeting with me the other day. It was a very good meeting, and I'm glad it went the way that it did. Also for directing me towards Mr. Aiken to address some of these concerns, because I had a few of them on my list, and most of them have been addressed, and most of them have been taken care of already, which is exciting. So I'm excited to see those changes. There is one concern, though, that I still have. I haven't really seen anything done or heard anything mentioned about the dress code. I'm going to keep bringing it up until something is done about it, because I really do think it's getting out of hand. Again, since my middle schoolers can say, oh, no, they're just in the high school, it doesn't matter. So I still think that something needs to be done with the dress code. Also about students being suspended or expelled, I know that we do have the PC in elementary, which are pretty good about it. They have failed to mention a couple students that have been suspended that I knew about that I had never heard about. But there's a couple middle schoolers and high schoolers that were suspended as well that I didn't know about. And some of the changes that are happening with the buses, I know that we moved the stop sign at the middle school. I don't know if this has been addressed to anyone else yet, but are we going to send out an email stating that it was moved, that it's going to be enforced? Is Justin going to enforce it? What's really going to be done about that? I just cover all the bases. I haven't seen it moved yet because I went the opposite way today, but I've heard it was moved, and I'm going to go look when I leave here because I'm really excited about it. And the crosswalk. I know that I had talked about the crosswalk at the high school, because when buses pull out, it's really hard to get from the high school to the middle school in time, where the middle schoolers aren't running out and creating a safety hazard. So I don't know if this had been addressed at all. I don't know. I forgot to talk to Kevin about it this morning or this afternoon, but I had mentioned something about doing like a community service there where the high schoolers stand there with a stop sign and literally let us out. It's going to take like 5 minutes of their time. They could get community service or whatever it may be, just to address that situation. It won't cost anything. It won't do anything but benefit us bus drivers and the students at the middle school. So I don't know what was ever figured out with that. So if I could get those answers.
Thank you, Nicole.
Justin, the school board member, geez, okay. The school resource officer, sorry about that. Hey, I just wanted to catch, real quick, I know I highlighted it in December. I wanted to follow up. I told you guys about a fundraiser we did, the Christmas tree fundraiser. I didn't follow up. We made over $7,000 for those trees. 2 families we've helped out already. We had a death of a mother. We helped out that. We had a local business that helped out with food, but we were able to help them out with some. We had a house fire that we were able to help with that. So I just wanted to give you guys a little follow-up with that, so you guys knew that. And secondly, I worked with Holly and our staff, our admin staff. We were able to get 10 Stop to Bleed kits for our schools. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe we're the only school in the district that has 2 Stop to Bleed kits, and then we have 4 at the middle school because we're bi-level there. So we have 2 Stop to Bleed kits in every school, and then 4 in the middle school. And then lastly, I know Mr. Aiken just got done saying something about this. We updated all of our emergency operations plan and our incident command stuff. We redid all that. You guys are going to get that again. And then also we have a MOU with all the other school districts because we are now working as one. I shouldn't say as one. All of us are trying to get all on the same page in reference to school safety. That way, when the same terminology that's used here is used in Fremont, White Cloud, Grant, so everything's all going to be the same. So I just kind of give you guys an update on that, but just wanted to bring some positive reference to raising over $7,000 for our kids here, and then also these to-go bags. So you guys are awesome. Have a great day.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Any other public comment?
My name is Melissa. I live here in Grant. Just wanted to ask a couple things in regards to the interim positions that are filled right now. Can you tell me, is there a specific timeline or limit for how long we can operate with an interim superintendent or an interim principal before it needs to be filled permanently? Does anyone know the policy? I'm sorry, Ken, are you listening?
Yes, I'm.
As board president, can you tell me, do you know what that is?
I don't have that policy in front of me, no.
So just a response would be great. Can you tell me when we are planning on posting for those permanent positions? Or I'm assuming if we filled Superintendent Aiken would go back to the high school or the middle school. So can you tell me when we're planning on posting that permanent superintendent position for filling?
We'll hit it in discussion. Go ahead.
Okay. And then can you tell me what the board policy is in regards to posting board business on Facebook? Okay. Can you tell me, there's some concerns about giving addresses during meetings. Clearly nobody other than Kelly who came up here gave an address. Because of that. It's been brought to my attention. I'm not friends with Sabrina or Rachel, but videos were posted of the school board meeting, clips showing public commentary where the commenters gave their address. That is posted on both of their Facebook pages, which could be considered a form of doxing. I just wondered if there's a policy to cover that, if those will be taken down, if any community members have stood up. I personally won't give my address with that concern. If Sabrina or Rachel can answer that, confirm that they're up, that they're coming down. Can you provide the policy information at the next board meeting for those items that I've asked for? Would you like to resign instead? I mean, you obviously don't seem to be able to communicate with the, I'm asking about policy, which you guys should be aware of for situations that you're currently in. I'm not asking anything rude or anything. I'm just asking for policy. Do you have the policy? Do you know? Have you looked at it? Are you addressing it? Can you provide that to the public? And people wonder why we want to ask you guys to resign.
Could we read, under public comment, could you just reiterate what it states there? Number 5.
I believe it's
so she can have an understanding why there's a silence.
Acknowledgement of your community members who are asking questions isn't answering a question. It's just common courtesy. It's polite. there's nothing stopping you from saying yes or no, or we can address that later.
The point that Mr. Vance is trying to make is that this is a time for public comment. It's not a discussion time.
Well, okay, but I'm asking you if you can tell me the policy.
I understand that you're asking a question. We move discussion time.
Okay, will you answer my questions at the next board meeting? Or during your commentary, your discussions later?
Yes, we will
Okay.
try to. Thank you.
That's all I was asking.
Thank you, Melissa.
Oh. Got it?
My name is Tracy Hargraves, and I am a member of the grant community. Policy number is 0167.6 on social media. You're not to post board business on social media. Just to let you know, I know the policy. Wondering about you guys. Rachel's already doxed me on my ally pictures, putting my LGBTQ pictures up with my family at Pride. She wanted to talk about doxing on her Facebook last week. Well, pot, meat, kettle. As for unbecoming of a board member, Rob, you do a phenomenal job working for these kids. Don't let these people bring you down. At least you talk to the community. You're not taking 4 minutes to close down a health center. You're not going through and sending mass texts out and emails out to the community to rally against LGBTQ students. You are not getting information from the board. I asked last week, or the last meeting, in public comment to be told, because I will not speak to you guys outside of public comment. I asked how this board works. Is it you four, which are the officers, get all the information, and nobody else knows until the day of? Because every single time we've had a meeting, there has not been communication with your other board members, and you're throwing things on the agenda that they do not have time to go through and learn about before they make an educated decision. You didn't want to answer last time. I'm hoping you'll answer this time. I'm doubting that you will. But there's no communication between your board, and I would like to know how that works, because every time we turn around, Stephanie hasn't been told, Rob hasn't been told. These people don't know what's going on when you're putting these things on the agenda and you're making these changes. How are they supposed to make educated decisions? Not that it matters, because the four of you already hold the vote anyways, but at least they can go through and speak up about it and try to figure it out so we can be educated as well. So there's an issue with the communication between you guys. Like I said, time and time again, you are elected officials, except for Ken. You are elected officials. You should be communicating to each other. That's what we elected you for. So communicate. So Rob doesn't always look like the bad guy out here, which he's not, just because he's asking questions. He is trying to find out what's happening so he can make an educated decision to help the kids of the community. Because you're not giving him that opportunity. You're breaking OMA constantly. The last meeting, Mr. Vance stated flat out that you spoke about everything in closed session, including your interim and the whole 9 yards. And I have no problem with Kevin whatsoever being interim. And I love the fact that Jamie's principal. Don't get me wrong. I think those are amazing decisions. My issue here is he admitted to it again that you spoke about everything, including the interim position, during closed session, which is not allowed and it is illegal. You guys are not following your own rules with policies. For example, 0167.6, Rachel and Sabrina. You're not following MDE policies. So how does this board work? How are you guys a conglomerate? Because you're not. You're not involving all of your members when you're doing these things.
Joshua Stein, City of Grant. Just had a few questions, comments for the board. During the Finance Committee report, I believe it was mentioned that there was going to be a Finance Committee meeting coming up soon, but there was no date announced. I had an email that suggests there was going to be a meeting March 1st at 3:30. I guess I would like to know whether or not that's true, because everyone's got different work schedules and availability, and that's something that people might need to take time off if they're interested in learning about the financial state of the school, like how severance agreement, affects the school budget. See a lot of resignations on here. Hasn't been par for the course for the meetings I've attended or the historic meeting minutes I've reviewed. I was just curious how much of this stuff's planned, what kind of contingency plans are in place to make sure that the students continue to get their education and that we have a staffed district, because the work always has to be done. It's just, are there many hands doing the work or are there few hands doing the work? And I think my last question is just about the notice for these meetings. It's been brought up before. It's not the first meeting this is brought up at, but why can't this agenda be posted on the website before the meeting so the community knows what's going to be discussed, so that way we can be prepared? So that way, if people are interested in hearing about the band out-of-state trip, they could come to the meeting and learn about that. But instead, no one knows what's happening, with the exception of the special meeting. So we had a meeting on short notice. Public gets notified 2 days before the meeting. Somehow that full agenda is on the website. There were a lot of polished and tailored speeches at the last public board meeting, and I feel like that agenda was added to the website to help provide cover for the people who had advance notice of what was going to happen at that meeting, so that way their comments weren't so suspect, but they were still suspect. And it's suspicious that special meeting, we can get the agenda posted with 2 days. This is a planned meeting, been known about the date for months, but we still have to be surprised about what's going to be on the agenda. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joshua. Any other public comment? Okay, with no other public comment, that moves us into discussion items. What does the board have?
Yeah, just a couple of quick comments and then I'll be done. I wanted to just kind of address a couple of things, that were brought up. First and foremost, I'm on this board to serve this community, the students, our staff, administrators. It's not for personal gain in any way, shape, or form. I am a staunch proponent of accountability and transparency. And those things have been my biggest source of frustration throughout my tenure here. And it boiled over at that last meeting. It was not because people were not seconding my motions. It was because, yet again, rash decisions, blindsided, incomplete data. I just felt like we were putting ourselves as a district, yet again, into a bad and compromising position. And we needed more time. Simply put, we needed more time to look. Looking at several documents in a 20-minute span with, 3 decisions coming from that seems rushed when we've been stalling on so many other decisions because of that same factor, not enough time. And yeah, I was frustrated. I'd had enough of that evening. That's it. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you, Rob. Anybody else?
I just want to address the fact that it keeps coming at 4 board members when clearly there was not a divisive vote in the last meeting. It was 6-1, clear. And we want to talk about attacks. My business was personally boycotted by the recall group and members of the board as well to try to close me down. I have been a huge advocate for our school district for many years. I donate so much that we don't even talk about because it's not necessary to do it. I do it out of the kindness of my heart. To come at me and say that I'm a bigot, I'm racist, I have children that are of mixed ethnicity. I don't know how I am a racist to any of you who really have known me in this community, because I'm not. And a bigot, awesome on that. I have no problem
with an adult's sexual preference, and quite frankly, honestly, it's none of my business, right? It's not. However, I don't believe it's a child's business either. Conversations regarding sexual preference or orientation or anything pertaining to it in that subject matter have no place in a school with minor children. That is a parent or a legal guardian's responsibility. We need to get back to the basics of education and just teach. And that's just personally how I feel. That doesn't mean that's how everybody has to feel. But I don't have a problem with an adult that identifies as whatever. I'm going to love and respect everybody. Why anyone says that I don't or says any different, most of you know me enough to know better. If I vote one way and I've had evidence presented to me that states facts that I need to follow, I'm going to vote in the way I think is right. And I'm sorry if that makes anybody angry, but I'm going to continue doing what I think is right, and I am here for every single kid in our district, not just my own or my beliefs.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Was that to me, Tracy? Oh, and I forgot.
We're done with the public comment. Thank
Can
you.
I add one more thing to that?
Yes.
Because everything that I have shared on my Facebook page is stuff that other community members have shared too. So I haven't targeted anybody. Anything that's put on there has been posted by yourself, and you know I have no problem with you, Tracy. But we share the same content. Then make that clearer, because when you're bringing me into it and everybody's pointing fingers at me.
Okay, Tracy, we are not in public comment. Thank you. This is not time for a discussion. I'm going to ask you to just listen, please. Any other discussion items of the board?
Can I give an update?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to give an update. I sit on the state board for bylaws and resolution for Michigan Association of School Boards. And last week we had a meeting, and basically in establishing bylaws and resolutions, when we make decisions at that level, that filters down to the school districts. But one thing that is constantly being made clear, anything that the Michigan Association of School Boards, whatever they bring forth, they do not enforce it upon the school districts. So whatever their policies and resolutions are, they are recommendations, they are suggestions. They may strongly urge those things with the school districts. For example, one of the resolutions is regarding, they propose that schools would look at providing electric buses. And one thing that was brought up was the expense of electric buses. They are 3 to 4 times the cost. They have about half the longevity, and during their lifetime, you have to replace the batteries, which is a great expense. So one thing we are looking at is, as opposed to just suggesting that schools buy electric buses, is that schools would look at alternative fuels. And again, it's a suggestion, and also they strongly put in there based on a school district's budget. And that we have one of our oldest buses that we have in our fleet right now is 22 years old. Probably an electric bus would not last that long. The other big problem we have with electric buses, especially in Michigan, is what we found out with the last cold snap of EVs. They were having trouble starting and operating, like in Chicago. And seeing how we have severe cold weather here too, just being able to reconstruct our infrastructure to provide electricity to plug in buses and so forth, you can see that just the cost involved in going to electric buses, we as a school district, we would have to evaluate that. But when we talk about Michigan Association of School Boards and what they propose, they just want us to be reminded, we do not have to follow those policies. We don't even have to, bring forth those policies or those resolutions. So out of that, it was a good learning experience. We'll meet again in May. Right now, we're just revamping a bunch of bylaws and resolutions, and that would eventually be brought around and be brought to vote. But anyways, it was a good meeting. It was about a 3-hour meeting, and I just wanted to express that as we look at this, that they're not enforcing it, but they are trying to give us guidelines in relation to new laws and how things are written.
So is MASB actually working with Neola and the other policy providers to
That I don't know.
address these things?
What they do is MASB, when they rewrite their bylaws and resolutions, they're doing it in relation to state law. So like Neola, the changes, if they do things according to state law, MASB is doing it. So their wording is going to follow, for example, the Elliott Larson law that the present administration passed. Now what's happening is you're having MASB in that they're changing wording to correspond with the Elliott Larson law.
Gotcha. Okay.
For the direction what I was doing, this is just an update with MASB. Has nothing to do with public comment.
Any other discussion items that the board has? Okay, I do want to address a couple things that came out of public comment. The interim timeline, the contracts for both the interim positions are written through the end of June. And it was also discussed or suggested that part of our discussion in closed session violated OMA. We were in closed session discussing a legal opinion, and everything that we discussed in closed session was included in that legal opinion. The other thing was there was a question or a comment about the notice about the last meeting being put on the website versus our current agenda being put on the website. Actually, in order for us to post a special meeting, we have to post, or included in that posting has to include exactly what the meeting is, or the business to be conducted at that meeting will be. So that's where you'll see that type of thing on a special meeting post. I think that's what I wanted to touch on out of that. Anybody else? Okay. With that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Sabrina and Richard, I'll just do this one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.